Question is from That Fly Guy. I'm a Hardgainer and have read your Hardgainer guide. My issue is still getting enough calories while not eating junk. Would you recommend a weight gainer if it's from a great company like Legion?
I feel like this is like one of Mike's guys that works for me.
I feel like we got infiltrated.
Should I try a weight gainer like this great company Legion makes for you?
Yeah. So Hardgainer guide is available it's still available and it's free. So it's basically a guide that helps people who have trouble gaining muscle mass. That's at mindpumpfree.com. Now here's the thing with eating junk. I know how hard it can be to eat adequate calories to gain muscle when you are somebody who burns a lot of calories, either because you have a fast metabolism or because you have a very active life. I know the struggle. Now, those of you who don't know what that struggle is like, you're listening and you're thinking, oh, I would love that. That's such an awesome problem to have.
Grass is always greener on the other side.
Yeah, it sucks. It's hard. You're feeding yourself, and you're not putting on muscle, and it's like, I can't eat anymore. So there are certain tricks of the trade that will help you do that. Now, part of that is seeking out hyper-palatable foods. Now, this doesn't mean you eat junk food necessarily, but junk food definitely has more of a place with a Hardgainer than it does with someone who's trying to lose weight, because junk food does a very good job of getting you to eat more calories. It's tasty, so it makes you want to eat more. So the kinds of junk food that I like to eat when I was trying to gain that isn't super unhealthy is like I would make my own French fries, and I'd use olive oil, for example, put them in the oven. Hyper-palatable salad. It's salty. I could get my carbs and starches that way. Or I'd make a bowl of rice and put a bunch of soy sauce in there and maybe some butter or something like that, give me some extra calories, or cook the rice with bone broth to add the proteins. So there's definitely some value into eating things that are hyper-palatable when your problem is not eating enough food. Now, is drinking your calories a good strategy? Absolutely. Actually, one of the easiest ways to boost your calories when you're struggling and you're hitting what you feel like is your ceiling is to drink your calories along with the stuff that you eat. A weight gainer is one way to do that. You could make your own weight gainer as well. You could use things like whole milk.
I prefer that.
But here's the thing. Protein sources tend to be an issue. Like, how do you increase the protein content of making your own gainer? Typically, you'd use a protein powder. Unless you want to do what I did a few times, which I only did it a few times because it was gross, which is blend up chicken breast. It's just disgusting.
Well,
Was that part of the Monster Mash thing, like the vertical diet?
No, not in the blender.
Okay,
That was terrible.
I never had a lot of success with weight gainers. I did all the. In fact, most of the time, whenever I take a weight gainer, just to give me the shits afterwards. Yeah, like that. I feel like I was like
horrible gas.
Yeah, I'm like, I just drank that, and I feel like it literally just came out. Like 30 minutes later, that's how I felt. Now, I've actually never used Mike's, weight gainer, so I don't know what it's like. But here's my strategy when I was bulking, and this is like, really new for me. Really close to when I was just doing this, right? So when I was competing and trying to put mass on, and I was training at the volume I was eating north of 5,000 calories, and that's really hard to do all clean. So I had my targets of what I wanted to hit from like all whole natural foods. So it was about 35 in order to get my protein intake, a good amount of good vegetables and greens in my diet. I needed to hit, roughly about 3,500 calories of like whole natural foods. And then what I allowed myself, that's when I would allow myself to go outside of that. And so I know Sal is, giving examples of things that you would make. I was lazier than that. I would order 5 guys and fries. Like that would be how I pile on the calories later on to hit my 5,000. I'd go 3,500 of eating clean, my made prep meals. And then once I hit my target, then the way I rewarded myself was I would allow myself to have more, palatable foods that I really, really enjoyed.
I pulled up, so I didn't know he even had a weight gainer. The products that I'm most familiar with from Legion are Pulse and their protein powder. But he does have a weight gainer. So here's the difference. The weight gainers that we took when we were kids, because I took those same weight gainers, Adam, and the same thing happened to me. They gave me they gave me liquid poops. How many calories were those weight gainers?
Oh, dude, some of them were like 900 calories.
Packed full of just sugar and shit.
Yeah.
Okay, so one serving of his gainer is 370 calories. Okay.
Oh wow, it's not even that high.
No, it's definitely like a small meal, but and this is why I like Mike. He doesn't make shitty, he's not trying to make shitty products.
He's just higher fat probably. Then,
Well, 51 grams of carbs, 38 grams of protein, and then the ingredients are good. The protein is coming from whey, casein, and the carbs are from things like potato starch, oat flour. He's putting flaxseed in there and stuff like that. So not a bad choice in terms especially for convenience, because making your own can be different. Drinking calories definitely is a good strategy though. Here's an easy way to do it, by the way. If you want to do this simple, how do I drink more calories into my diet? If you're not intolerant to dairy, if you're totally cool with dairy and you can drink milk, drink a glass of whole milk with every meal. That's easy. That's an easy way to add like 500 calories to your whole diet. It's just with breakfast, lunch, dinner, and your meals in between. Drink water, and at the end of your meal, take a big glass of whole organic milk.
Yeah, I mean, do that.
And just drink it.
I mean, in the bodybuilder community, this is how we all fall in love with peanut butter, man. That's how so
peanut butter is the jam.
my homemade shake.
Peanut butter is not the jam. It's not peanut butter.
Yeah.
Then
No,
you add jam.
my homemade shake would be a whey, and I used almond milk. I didn't even use. I could got more calories if I used whole milk, but too much dairy does bother me. I can have some of it, like my whey protein, I can handle, but lots of milk, ice cream. If I'm doing too much dairy, it definitely affects me. So I was using almond milk, which is hardly anything, but man, and whey, which is not a ton of calories. But I've got 2 tablespoons of peanut butter, 1 tablespoon of Nutella. I add in like a quarter cup of egg whites in addition to that, and then I used to take hazelnut ground coffee and then pour that in there and then blend that all up. And man, it ends up being a pretty high calorie shake still, and it's phenomenal. And you throw a banana in there too for an extra 120, 130 calories.
Dude, so this is what I did. This was what I did back when and that shake did sound delicious. Here's what I did when I was a kid this is when I could have milk. I can't do this now. It would totally destroy me. I wouldn't need to anyway. I don't have any issues bulking anymore. I'm older now. And for whatever reason, I can gain weight far easier than when I was a kid. But I did the milk thing, right? The whole milk. So, and I looked up the macros now.
Yeah.
A 16 ounce, which is a big glass of whole milk, right? 16 ounces. That's 272 calories.
Wow.
14 grams of fat, 20 grams of carbs, 14 grams of protein. So you tell me if you add 3 glasses of that with breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you're looking at almost 1,000 calories.
Yeah.
And it's milk. You know what I'm saying? And it's got protein, fat, and carbs. The problem is some people like you and I can't digest it that well.
Yeah. Well, you remember that I think there was like a little thing that was going around for a while. I know there's articles around that we were talking about all the post-workout shakes and talking shit about it. And they were talking about how 1 glass of milk is studies show that it's just as valuable as someone going and buying some.
It's like the same macros.
Go ahead.
Oh, you know what I was thinking of was the whole Rocky thing where like people would start taking like raw eggs. Like I totally fell into that for a while, trying to be as savage as possible and gain as much weight as I could. I would throw like raw eggs and just like every shake and then in my mouth and try to make that work.
I did the same thing. But did you actually drink the eggs by themselves?
Yeah.
Did you ever crack them and drink them?
Yeah, I did like 3 to 4. I would like put in a cup and just down the hatch.
Oh, I did that one time. It's the worst feeling in the world. It's terrible.
So slimy.
One more note, though. I want to say this.
Yeah, I have something I want to give to this person.
Okay. So sometimes when you're a hard gainer, it's not because you're not eating enough calories. Sometimes your workout sucks.
Yeah, that's true.
And if you here's the thing. I tell you what. I had this debate with someone a long time ago. Like, no, it's just about calories. I said, okay. If I gave you anabolic steroids right now and you had no extra calories and you did the same workout, do you think you gained muscle? And they said, well, yeah, you probably would. You gain a little bit of muscle. So there's a lot of signals that tell the body to build muscle. And the main one is your workouts. And if you're not gaining muscle, sometimes it's because your workouts are not effective.
Well, a lot of times people are following. I mean, how common is that you're following kind of the same type of a routine?
Yep.
Change up the reps or this and that, but people typically kind of gravitate towards like the same type of routines. But I want to give some other really good tips that help me, because this was like a fucking decades. This was a struggle for me. This
I'm so glad I didn't know you back then.
Yeah,
we would have killed ourselves.
Oh, I'm sure and I've done it all. Everything from setting alarms in the middle of the night. So the things that worked the best for me later on, after all the things that I tried, I learned that if I ate stuff that was really high calorie, like so a lot of times what happens if you you know that you need to have junk food or you need to add more palatable foods in order to hit that calorie intake, I would make the mistake of doing that for lunch. For example, I'd have like a big Quiznos and chips and like a soda or something for lunchtime. Problem with when you eat those really palatable foods like that and you stuff yourself is then you're full for like 4 to 5 hours. And when you're trying to eat 4,000, 5,000 plus calories and you're trying to gain like that and you're struggling and you eat something that satiates you for that long, you get behind on the calories. You can't. So I learned early on that if I ate leaner, cleaner, whole foods, natural foods early, I found I could eat every 2 hours. So my body digested it fast. I was ready to eat again. And even if I wasn't starving or hungry, I could eat again another good 300-500 calorie meal like every 2 hours. And this is where the every 2 hours thing has value. When you have to try and eat 4,000 calories, dividing that up in just 2 or 3 meals is fucking daunting. But if it's broken up in these like 500 calorie meals every few hours, it's a little bit easier. So that strategy worked really well by eating leaner, cleaner, whole foods throughout the day so I could consistently eat every 2 hours. And then, like I said, if I hit my targets, if I stayed the course, I ate all my meals that I prepared, my reward to myself was, oh, now tonight I'll allow myself to have the burger, or I'd allow things like pizza in the diet, or I'd allow these shakes that have Nutella and peanut butter. I would allow these types of hyper palatable foods to pile on later on to make sure that I hit the caloric intake. That really works.
You're right. And you don't want it to backfire either, right? Eating too much junk food, your health starts to go south, your digestion goes south. You can kiss your gains goodbye. So always consider health. You want to gain as healthy as possible because that's going to give you the longest road to good, lean gains. If you do it in an unhealthy way, it's not going to work for very long. And it'll backfire. It can backfire many different ways. It did it to me once. One time I ate a whole bucket of KFC chicken because I was trying to bulk or whatever. Yeah. I can't eat KFC chicken ever again. I eat so much of it, grossed me out. Yeah. And I remember that whole day I ate nothing else. I didn't eat much the next day because I messed up my digestion.
Fat just dripping down your
I smelled
arms.
like chicken.
Yeah.
The next day I was sweating. No joke.
I've done the same.
And people are like, did you just eat KFC?
Yeah,
like, dude,
there's no shame.
I ate it yesterday.